Like, would it be good experience, or would it be kind of a not so good experience because somebody who is talking to you is having his eyes closed? You can type in chat box. I know some of you may be very shy in speaking up. So maybe I have, for that reason, I have opened up the chat panel. You can write whether it will be a good experience or a bad experience. Okay. Seems like our audience, either they are busy with something which uh, is keeping them occupied more than the session, or we have audience who is even shy on typing on chat box. So maybe I'll call out names: Ashok, Shrestha, Rahul, Divyansh, Saurabh, Somil.
Sir, I think that would be a good experience for us, that you have closed your eyes, and that may not be very interactive, or
Yeah,
I would say that you are not interacting with us, talking to me.
very nice, Shrestha. It was really thoughtful of you to share your good experience. Yeah, that is right. It will not feel very interactive, and the message I will convey to you would be like, see, I'm not interested in looking at you, or maybe even while I am talking to you, I'm not really very interested. So that is the same thing which happens once we are on a video call and we are going to hear from somebody and we are turning our video off. So that was the experience which we will have if we are not keeping our video turned on, and if we are keeping ourselves hidden behind and not showing our good pretty faces. I know all of you would be very good looking guys, girls here on the session. So why not show it? So I would request all of you to turn on your videos so that we make this session as interactive as possible. And yes, thank you, Shwest, for turning on your video. Yes, and I hope that should be sufficient motivation enough for others to turn on their video. Yes, we are seeing some active engagement from participants happening. So, okay, thank you, Rahul. Okay, let's hope everybody else also catches on and turns on their video. Okay, yeah, we are seeing. Okay, results are coming slow and steady. Okay, so given the fact that exams are a very crucial part of our life, how many of you think that, let me give you an analogy. Once you are born, right, the moment you are born, you start giving examinations. Your first exam is, as a baby, you are getting measured on a scale, whether you are born healthy or not so healthy. And from there, that point on, your examination starts. You start getting evaluated based on, okay, he's a healthy baby, okay, let's take him and back to home. And if the weight, for some reason which is not in our control, if that weight comes below certain number, what you have to do, you have to stay in hospital for some time, or maybe go to some intensive care or something like that. So exams, somehow humans made it a part of in the human society itself, that has been a very crucial part of our whole journey itself. So such an important thing, examination starts, and once you start your studies, they just remain with us. It never goes by, whether be it in your from KG, 10th, 12th, and the standard of examinations keep rising, it goes to a level where your life gets decided on that, right? That sort of exam happens, right? Once you give examinations like JEE or maybe CAT or maybe GATE, GRE or something like that, examinations, your life, what job you will do, what achievements you will have, how people will respect you. If you qualify IPS exam, people will respect you like anything. If you qualify, if you don't qualify exam for, let's say, for passing like to next grade, your parents and your relatives will be like, oh, कुछ नहीं हो सकता इसका, नाम नाक कटा रहा है, ऐसा कुछ 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 बोलने लगते, राइट? तो यार एग्जामिनेशन जरूरी चीज है, मतलब इसलिए मुझे लगा नहीं, कुछ बात करनी चाहिए, चर्चा होनी चाहिए इस चीज पे. We should discuss that why examinations and how should we prepare for that. So the fact is, examinations were actually introduced by this paper and pen examinations were introduced by Britishers. Thanks to colonization, we got accustomed to examinations. But we had some sort of examinations like in Gurukuls also. You might have heard Dronacharya was taking examination of Arjuna by asking him to shoot onto a bird sitting on a branch of a tree, and he asked different people, tell me what do you see. So Yudhishthira said he's seeing a bird. Bhima said he is seeing a mango, he is seeing a mango on that tree. Different responses came by. Then Arjuna said, I am seeing just the bird, not even the bird, I'm just seeing the eyes of the birds, which I can see clearly, the eyes, the black mark, that is my target. And that made Arjuna pass that examination. So this kind of examination was that time also. Now coming directly to the point, how many of you really like preparing for examination? You are excited. Oh, exams आ रहे हैं, मतलब पूरे साल का सबसे important day आ रहा है, मेरे को इतना मजा आ रहा है प्रिपरेशन करने में, इसके लिए तो पूरे साल भर वेट किया था, राइट? ऐसा लेकिन एक चीज आता है साल में एक बार, दिस मोमेंट कम्स वंस इन अ ईयर, दैट इज वेकेशंस, राइट? That is how you plan for vacation. You have waited for a year long for vacation. So finally summer break has come. Not examinations, but the fruits of hard labor is usually much more tastier than something which you get without preparation. So जब थोड़ा exam दे लेते हो, then you will enjoy your vacations even more. So first I would like to understand कि what challenges do you think, जो आप लोगों को लगता है कि आप लोगों को एग्जाम के प्रिपरेशंस में आती है, what do you think some of the major challenges which you face while you are preparing for your examination? कुछ एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, क्या मेजर चैलेंजेस आते हैं? या नहीं यार ऐसा सब कुछ बढ़िया है, आप तो सेशन रैप अप करो, हम लोग एकदम एग्जाम के लिए चिल्ड आउट है, सबको सब कुछ आता है, सबको पता है कैसे प्रिपेयर करना है, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं है. तो फिर आपका भी समय बचेगा, मेरा भी समय बचेगा, both parties win. Or maybe you can unmute and say what major challenges do you see when you are preparing for examination, or when you are writing examination, or once you have written the examination, right? Nothing? चलो मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ, इससे समझ में आएगा. Let's say तुम you guys go for a Viva kind of examination where you have to speak about a topic for 5 minutes. You prepare something. जाने से पहले कुछ प्रिपेयर करके जा रहे हो, एकदम लिख के रखा है क्या बोलना है वहां पे कुछ होते हैं. जब वहां गए, वहां बैठे, तो एज यूजुअल जो होता है, दिमाग से सब कुछ साफ हो चुका है, कुछ याद नहीं आ रहा है, ठीक है. और जब वहां गए तो वहां कुछ कुछ बोला, फिर वहां से वापस आ रहे हैं तो सोच रहे हैं, अरे मैंने सोचा था ये बोलूंगा, ये बोल देता तो ज्यादा अच्छा था, अच्छा इसको इस तरीके से हैंडल किया होता ज्यादा बेहतर. तो ये जो सिचुएशन आती है ना, प्रिपेयर कुछ करते हैं, वहां जाके परफॉर्म कुछ करके आते हैं, और आई नो यू नो एक रेट्रोस्पेक्शन होता है कि नहीं ऐसे किया होता चीजों को. तो ये सिचुएशन होती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से एक और कुछ जो तुम लोग अपने which you would like to share from your side, some obstacles or hindrances that you face while preparing for examination. None?
सर बहुत ही ज्यादा सर स्ट्रेस हो जाता है एग्जाम टाइम पर, प्रिपरेशन के टाइम पर.
Okay.
और ये भी डर लगता है कि पता नहीं कैसा जाएगा एग्जाम, क्या होगा. और कई बार ये भी सही बात है कि अगले दिन साफ हो जाता. मेरे साथ यही में हुआ था ऐसा.
Okay. Okay. Correct. Thank you,
गया और
Shresh.
साफ हुआ.
Okay. Good point, Shresh. So I hope so. ये श्रेष्ठ ने जो प्रॉब्लम बताए, हर किसी को कभी ना कभी किसी ना किसी मोमेंट में, किसी ना किसी एग्जाम में फेस किया होगा. बाकी लोग मौन व्रत पे हैं. अमित, सोमिल, हुकुम, दिव्यांश, अयान, अशोक, सौरभ, रोहन. Okay, let's see.
सर
Yeah, go ahead.
सर कभी कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि सब कुछ पढ़ने के बाद भी ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ा.
Oh, okay, good. गुड, ठीक है, ये भी वैलिड पॉइंट है, क्योंकि सब कुछ पढ़ लेना, मतलब अशोक मुझे तो लग रहा है ऐसा कैसे पॉसिबल है सब कुछ पढ़ लेना।
आई मीन सर कि मतलब जो टॉपिक्स रिलेटेड रहते हैं वो पढ़ने के बाद ऐसा लगने लगता है कि कुछ याद नहीं है, बस पढ़ लेते हैं।
हाँ, जो लिमिटेड टॉपिक हमको मिलता है उसको पढ़ने के बाद भी लगता है कि
यस सर।
पढ़ा नहीं, करेक्ट होता है। ओके, तो लेट्स टैकल दिस फ्रॉम अ स्पिरिचुअल व्यू पॉइंट। स्पिरिचुअल व्यू पॉइंट मतलब let's take it from Bhagavad Gita, the renowned Bhagavad Gita. Let's answer your questions from, answer all these questions from there. Because जब आप देखते हैं ना, मतलब भगवत गीता इज लाइक अ लाइफ मैनुअल। जब आपको एक रोबोट, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से आप एक मशीन खरीद के आते हो और उस मशीन को कैसे चलाना है ये आपको पता नहीं है, तो उसके साथ एक मैनुअल मिलता है। भगवत गीता भी सेम चीज है ह्यूमन लाइफ के लिए। ह्यूमन लाइफ का एक मैनुअल है। इफ यू डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू, यू कैन सर्च आई एम इन स्ट्रेस, व्हाट शुड आई डू अकॉर्डिंग टू भगवत गीता। एंड आई डोंट नो आप लोगों को इंस्पायर की तरफ से कैसा कुछ मिला होगा, एक पीडीएफ मिला होगा जिसमें अलग अलग डिफिकल्ट सिनेरियोज मेंशन होंगे, फॉर एग्जांपल स्ट्रेस, एंगर, फियर, डिमोटिवेशन, डिप्रेशन, तो उसमें कौन कौन से वर्सेस पढ़ने चाहिए, इसका एक पूरा पीडीएफ है। तो वो अगर पढ़ेंगे तो भगवत गीता से बहुत हेल्प मिलता है। सो ओके, लेट्स कम टू दिस पॉइंट। लेट्स से व्हेन आई एम वेरी मच वरीड, आई हैव डन माय वर्क, आई हैव स्टडीड, बट आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू। I did my work wholeheartedly. I wrote my exam. Let's say to the point I wrote my exam, but I don't know what to do. Now, this is the scenario when your examination anxiety comes over, the stress over, okay, how will I write the exam? What will be the exam? What क्या question आएंगे exam में? अरे exam लिख दिया, कैसे आएंगे results? क्या होगा, नहीं होगा? इन सब चीजों से एक बहुत अच्छा भगवद गीता का verse है, and very famous verse which you all might have heard. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन Ma karma phal heturvur mate sangvastu karma. Now, this verse is very infamous. People have interpreted it in different ways, but one very fitting situation of this verse comes in this scenario when you are writing examination. Let's say, इस verse में ये explain किया जा रहा है, the context of the verse is, you have right to do the work. The only right you have is to do the work. That is karmanya vadhikaraste, means you have adhikar for doing karma, your own duty. Now, what is your duty? Your duty comes first, you study. First you know that yes, there is exam, then you study, then you write the exam, and once it is done, your karma is over. Now your next karma begins to prepare for the next examination. So for this particular examination, your karma is over. Now once your karma is over, that is enough. Apart from that, you should not even think of anything कि क्या होगा कैसे होगा, because the result of the work is not in your hand. It's in the hand of whatever effort you have put initially. Some part in your luck. Obviously, for anything there is a luck, labor, and chance. You got a chance to write your exam. You did the enough labor, and then there is a luck factor also, right? So luck factor, obviously, taking that aside. So once you have done your work, only thing that remains is the part where you leave it. Okay, I am done. Now my work is done. Whatever I could have done before the examination, I have done. Now leave it aside. You should not think. And Bhagavad Gita says the results are not in your hand. Results are not in your hand. That you should be very much aware of. Coming up to next point. So if results are not in my hand, and if I, let's say, I am preparing for my examination, and my mind is so much troubling me to think in the direction where, exam mein ye question aayega, what should I prepare? What should I not prepare? Now, in that case, what you should do? What will you do? That is when your mind is so much distracted, too many distractions in your mind, and you are not able to prepare. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कुछ लोगों को, there is a syndrome which happens, like over anxiety syndrome, where you get into a tense situation, you start feeling butterflies in your stomach, and you get into anxiety where you don't want to prepare. आप प्रिपेयर नहीं करते, सोचते अरे अब मेरे को और प्रिपेयर नहीं करता, थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स कर लेता हूँ माइंड को, और जाके मोबाइल चलाने लगे, गेम खेलने लगे. Now what happens? Because of too much stress, your mind is not able to concentrate. Now, that is a poor situation you could be in. Now at that point, a very crucial verse comes is Uddharatmanam Natmanav Sweda Atmaeva Hatmano Bandhuratva Ripuratmana. Means the mind, your mind can be your friend and enemy. that depends on how you train it, how you tame it. Now here comes the important factor जहाँ पे आपको कुछ एक ऐसा implement करना पड़ता है जो कि आप normally नहीं करते हो. Let's say you have to control your mind. You cannot be so sure because हमने अपने mind को बहुत ज्यादा freedom दे रखी है, right? एक नया घोड़ा लो जो अभी नया नया कभी उसको लगाम नहीं लगा हो, he will be out of control. A horse who is new and has not been given any reins will be out of control. Now to bring it under control, what you have to rein it. Now to rein a horse, what is the process? You have to first tie down the horse, put the rope through its nose, and then you have to control it. Now that horse goes through a lot of pain when he is getting under control, even on his own, and when the rider wants to control him. Similarly is our mind. Now mind is compared with you might have heard one of the famous quotes in Bhagavad Gita, that the mind is compared to a chariot where the senses are the horses. Similarly, our senses, our eyes, ears, nose, let's say our whole mind combined, the thoughts we get, they are like horses. Now they roam around in all directions. Now as your intelligence, so in that context, it says that intelligence is the rider who is controlling it. जो कहते हैं हिंदी में एक वर्ड है सारथी, बेसिकली सारथी है आपकी बुद्धि, आपके सारथी. उस सारथी को आपको यूज में लाना है. You have to use that horse master, or let's say ride carrier. You have to use that. Now as a student, you are seeing a lot of distractions because external world, because of the digital age where you have pings and pongs coming from all directions. एक मिनट बैठे नहीं, इधर से पिंग पोंग टिंग टोंग होना शुरू हो गया. Now in that situation, what you have to do, you have to first learn to control your mind. And you might have heard in your previous sessions, and even in upcoming sessions, you might have heard, meditation is one of the strong way of controlling your mind. And what meditation to do? A very simple meditation mentioned in Bhagavad Gita is to chant the holy name of the Lord. Now the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is a very strong meditation, very powerful meditation technique, which helps you in controlling your mind very easily. So first question was when we are thinking too much about the result. Second question was when we are preparing itself at that point of time, if we are too much bewildered by the things around us, by the result itself, maybe by external media giving us feedback that no, go and look at the WhatsApp, go and look at the phone, maybe call somebody like this. Now there you have to control your mind. Okay, we covered up two sections. First is your preparation part. Now when you are giving examinations, okay, अब किसी को ऐसा लग रहा होगा सर ये तो theory है, how will we do it in practical? We'll come to the practical part also, when how you are going to implement this in your examination. Okay, now when you are giving the examination, at that time it is very essential to think that you have to give it all when you are giving your examination. You should not think about the results. Now see how our brain works is, brain is working. So how is information stored in our brain is like they are stored in form of neural connections. Basically, if you are trying to hold the information, you will not be able to remember information as a fact for a very long period of time. You will able to retain the maximum amount of learning you have only by relating it to some real life instances which you are, for let's say एक example में बता, let's say आप mathematics पढ़ रहे हो, obviously mathematics is more like a practice. थोड़ा एक common example लेते हो, let's say आप engineering physics ले रहे हो या फिर कुछ ऐसा subject ले लो जो कि आप अपने creativity से, for example let's say you are engaging your creativity, let's for some literature subject, or even for mathematics it may be a formula if you are remembering. So try to attach that formula not just as a fact, उसको try to attach that to some physical response. Let's say आपने differentiation का formula पढ़ा, so try to be creative in your mind to remember differentiation. For let's say formula याद कर रहे हैं, keep some sort of a memory map. Now memory map is a whole new concept which I could take a different session itself. Try to read about it, how to create your memory map inside your mind. Memory map can be very helpful. So coming back to again the original point, so when you are extracting information from your mind, it has to be in a state of alpha state. Alpha state basically is when your brain is not occupied or it's not overstressed, then you can trigger such neural connections which will help you to recall the things. Now, in that moment, you should remember one verse of Bhagavad Gita, that is, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukh Dukkhada Agmapaino Nityas Tam Stitikshasya Bharata. Now, this verse is very crucial when you want to understand how to remain calm or peaceful or situated in your current state without getting bewildered by thinking that, okay, how will this thing work out? How will that thing work out? Now, this verse states that whatever try to recall it. Okay. Sorry. I will try to recall it just before examination. Okay. Try to, whenever you are studying, right? As I said initially also, mind does not work like how we think. कि computer की एक memory है जहाँ पे जाओ, data dump करो और जब मन हो data extract कर लो. Mind does not work like that. It's not a computer memory where you store things and you take it out. You store things and you take it out. It's not like that. Mind does not work like a computer in most scenarios. जो दो हम लोगों को ये सिखाया गया, we have been taught that mind is like a CPU. But no, mind is not a CPU where whatever you remember, it will go and access it again whenever you want it. Mind is more like a map where if you want to reach to a certain place, you cannot remember whole map. Okay, एक milestones के जैसा समझो. Think of your mind like a milestones. If you are reaching at point 1, if you reach at point 2 and point 3 are connected, once you start from point 2 unless you reach point 3, you cannot reach to point 4. Basically, there is a neural connections होते हैं basically brain में. To extract information, you have to go into a state where that neural connections are strong again. Now, to make neural connections strong, there you have read, repeat, and recite. Read, repeat, and recite. Basically, whatever you have read, try to read it again. Then you have to repeat it. Then you have to recite it. Now, again, this seems very difficult. A very practical way to do it is, जो भी आप पढ़ो, try to teach it to somebody. A very simple solution. Whatever you have learned, जो भी पढ़ाई की, try to teach it to somebody. When you do that, you will have very strong impression of what you learned just now. And you don't have to go and teach to someone else. Just whatever you learned, close the book, try to think that you have a wide audience, you have an audience whom you have to teach, and try start teaching. Once you do that, whatever you will learn with that method, whatever you will learn, it will be very hard for you to forget. And that is how, if you remember, teachers do. Even though teachers once who is a teacher had been a student. So when a student starts teaching a concept to himself or maybe his friends or even to a virtual audience or even to a non-existence audience, at that point of time, you become a teacher of that concept. Your mind starts to form a connection where mind thinks that he has to come up with ways to simplify this explanation. That is why one very famous quote by Einstein is, if you can't explain a concept to a 5-year-old, that means you have not understood the concept. And even Richard Feynman, he said that you can read about Feynman technique. Basically, that technique's fundamental is until or unless you understand the concepts in a way which you can explain it to a 5-year-old, till that time you should not stop. So your aim should be, that is how you should study. Now, जब भी आप पढ़ाई करते हो, try to associate. So हम लोग सबसे ज़्यादा किस चीज को याद रखते हैं? You think in your mind, what is that oldest memory which you are able to remember, given the fact that it is very fresh. It looks like कि अभी बहुत fresh है. जैसे for example, किसी दिन बहुत अच्छा gift, life का पहला gift मिला हो, he is able to remember that feeling. For example, let's say somebody got a very tragic experience in his life. He is always able to remember it. So all with this instances, what do you think is a common link between memory and an instance getting remembered? Basically, your memory responds to triggers. If you send appropriate triggers, you can use your memory in a best way. Means emotions are the keys to accessing your memories. When you have a very strong emotions attached to a particular concept, or let's say particular emotion, particular incident, particular person, we will not be able to forget them so easily. Now again, this is a task to you. This will be your task कि आप इन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को, ये आपकी क्रिएटिविटी है, बिकॉज समटाइम्स जैसे मेरा ये तरीका होता था, आई यूज्ड टू फील लाइक whenever I read this any topic in mathematics, I have to go and teach it to somebody. I have to teach it to somebody, and in that teaching experience I will try to give myself some emotional trigger. जैसे कि for example मैं कुछ concept याद नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. Now think like you are in a situation where you are teaching someone and a student asks you, sir ये कैसे होगा? Let's say Pravesh is teaching somebody, and in your mental image, you are teaching somebody. Think of like you are teaching somebody, and someone asks you a question, how is this happening? Now again, that is something, if you don't know, that means that will give you an emotional trigger. Somehow, if I had been teaching in front of a class, and in front of whole class, a student asks a teacher that how this is done, and teacher does not know how it is done, that is a kind of a uneasy feeling, right? Now when you attach that emotion to any concept, then you will be able to recall it very for a long period of time. Similarly, take a very common example of walking. Sometimes people do this, chalte hain aur padhte rehte hain. Now what this does is basically in your subconscious mind, it gives a signal that whenever I am walking, I will try to establish the same neural connections. Okay, now hello, I am hearing somebody's noise. I'm not sure who is trying to speak. Okay, anyway, now that was about. Now a very important thing, whenever you study, do not study in a way where you are continuously sitting for 25 say 5 hours, 3 hours. Don't study like that. Your study should be slots, must be in a slot. Go and read about the learning curve of a brain. Maybe if I'm able to wrap up whatever concepts I'm trying to convey to you beforehand, I will show you. The learning curve of the mind is, for first 20 or 25 minutes, it will try to go up. Now the curve will try to rise up. Means you have started learning, sorry, it's not like this. Let me convey it on a pen and paper, it will be easier. Now let's say this is your curve. Okay, so this is concentration versus time. Okay, I'm trying to show concentration versus time. Now the graph of concentration is like at its peak. Once time goes by, it goes down. Okay, this curve, right, the declining curve is of 20 minutes. You can go ahead and read it, concentration curve for a mind. So basically your concentration is highest initially, it gradually goes down, gradually it will go up also, but again there is a plateau. Okay, so again, if you see there is a plateau, then again it will go up. Now with this concept, if you try to apply in your study, basically it is like, whenever you are studying, divide your study slots in 25 minute slot and give a 5 minute break. I know this is hard initially because हमारी habit रहती है 4 घंटे 5 घंटे एक साथ पढ़ने की, because we have got accustomed to that. Now let me tell you very honestly, you will realize it later on. If you get into a habit of 25 minutes of chunk, right? Even now I am working as a senior software engineer. Now I will try to block my work in sections of 25 minutes, so that I give my mind sufficient rest to recover from the fatigue that might have done. Now, for the same reason, try to study in slots of 25 minutes. You will see a tremendous effect. And in those 5 minutes, go ahead and walk for 5 minutes and try to recall whatever you studied. Come back again, try to go back and study whatever you missed, you might have think, and then go ahead and study further. Try to apply these techniques. I know I have tried to, give a very concentrated way of studying. It will be difficult to grasp it at once, but I would suggest go ahead and implement it. And whenever you are writing exam, before exam, try to take a bath, because bath is very healthy for your brain. Cold water bath is very healthy for your brain. You give your brain a sufficient time to bounce back. Basically, come back from that state of slugginess and be attentive on that examination. And and your breathing should be very accurate whenever you are studying or writing exams. Try to breathe in properly, breathe out. There is a 4 second breathing mechanism, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and then again hold your breath for 4 seconds. Just share with you something. Okay, I'll try to share this. I hope so you are able to see this. Okay, now this is a concentration curve of a human brain. Basically, this is the average regional brain activity time, and you can see initially this is the region from where it shows that you have your optimal activity. Now this optimal activity goes down over a period of 10 minutes. Over a period of 10 minutes, it starts to decrease. And this approximate, I think, around 20 minutes, if you say, because this is a exponential curve, so it would not be very clear to see 20 minutes of time. But on an average, it is said that approximate of 20 minutes is sufficient to tire your brain, where you should be taking rest and again stop for a 5 minutes break and then again go back to your study. Okay, and in that 5-minute break, you can try to recall whatever you have learned, maybe. And best thing is, go ahead and take a walk. Don't think about anything. Don't use phone. Never use your phone in those 5 minutes, because in those 5 minutes, if you are using your phone. Hemant, if you can mute yourself, or if you're asking a question, please go ahead and ask it. Okay, so in those 5 minutes, your brain should be relaxing. It should never be taxing in a way that you are using your phone, because whenever you are using your phone, you're actually straining your brain so much to, from a state of relax, to come and focus your full attention, because you know how concentrated we become when we are watching phone, right? Whenever we are watching our phone, or when you are watching some movies or enjoy it, scrolling over YouTube videos, our brain is so much taxed, because naturally it is very attention grabbing. Okay, at that atomic moment of time, your brain is completely exhausted. Okay, in those 5 minutes, never try to do something like watching phone or something. Okay, now coming up next, as I said, when you are writing your examinations, it is very crucial that you should go ahead and take a bath, and after taking a bath, try that breathing mechanism which I told, and also try to meditate in some way. And a simplest way of meditation is, which will not take any much time, much effort, much place or something, try to chant holy name. Or you may have heard the way of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now what this does is activates the cortex of brain, which is meant for accessing the accessing the memory regions in your brain. Basically, देखो, एक होता है normally एक computer का बहुत simple सा concept. When you have a memory, you have a memory controller which goes and accesses the memory. Similarly, in your brain also, when you have memory stored, your neurons go ahead and access your memory. Basically, your whatever you have stored in your memory, they that will go and make your access easier. Now, when you chant, you make that access, the part, the controller part, very relaxed. And I think I know you all may be chanting. I think I got to know that you all are chanting already. So when you are chanting, this is all well and good. Try to chant and try to take advantage of it, because you have advantage. You are already chanting. Try to use it when you are writing your examination. Okay. And beforehand, take simple care of before examination, not to stress yourself with anything. Beforehand, prepare a checklist. Okay, pen done, whatever basic things, right? You may need admit card or something like that. That is done, so that you never reach your examination hall too stressed. Okay, you reach your examination hall in a calm way. And one more very important thing is, try to study and make yourself familiar with the place where you are going to write the exam, if possible. If not possible, that's okay. At least make a place very dedicated for your study. Don't do other things which you do at your study place, because so basically how mind functions is, right? Now I will tell you one examination. Example. Examination, not examination, example. So let's say you are daily going to your aunt's place, your relative auntie's place. So you go there every day and you study there. That is very easy, right? It is very easy to study there. Now you have got accustomed to going there and study. Now think you change your place of study. For a moment or two, or maybe for one day or two, you may feel some uneasiness at the place, in a new place where you are going to study. Now what that does is basically it disrupts the mental state which your mind has remembered basically that this place is marked for study, it disturbs that. That is why it is very essential to make a fixed place of study there only every day. Whether do it for 5 minutes, go there and study. Okay, that is why working from office or going to college and studying from a everyday same place has an impact on your brain, how it learns and enhances the grasping experience. Okay, so these are some points which I have realized during my exam days, and over a period of time I have shared it with students like you and your seniors, and they have been able to implement it to the extent they have been able to implement it, they have been getting the results. Now again, it depends on you how nicely you implement it and how will you get the results. Okay, so from viewpoint of conveying what I had completed my part. Now I'm open to any questions if you have.
So you said that result is not in our hand, therefore we should not think about the result. But many times thinking about the result gives us motivation to study. For example, not for NSAM exam, for the UPSC exam, for any software interview or something, we are thinking about the Google FL or for Labasana IAS officer. That gives motivation. So that is good for us or not? Sir? Thinking about result in a positive way.
Very valid point, Shrestha. I think as long as it's like this, see, when you go to a doctor, right? Doctor will say, don't use something, don't eat this particular vegetable or don't eat this particular food when it does harm to you. Now, when it is not doing any harm, anything that is giving you motivation, giving you a good health, doctor will not say no. Okay, let's say, kuch logon ko don't eat rice because your health is not good. Now, if your health is not getting harmed by that, and if you get some good positive health benefits, you need not stop eating rice. Similar is like this. If you think about results and you get motivated, what better thing you could ask in your life than to get that sort of motivation? It's not at all wrong. It is very good if you are motivated with the results and doing it. It's all well and good. But again, there is one more thing which is associated with results, is when you are too much attached on the result side, right? If you don't get the desired part, then it may happen that your mind will take a toll thinking that, okay, I was thinking, but I did not got it. So next time, I don't think I will be able to get. No, don't go in that state. Even when you are result oriented, don't go in a state that you will study only when you get results. Even when you don't get results, studying is essential. You have to keep studying. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Shrestha. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you said about the study slots of 20 minutes and 5-minute break. But how much we can extend this slot, sir? Initially, we should do 20 minutes, and how much we can extend?
So, okay, I think that's I would say that answer could vary individual to individual, but I think if I am not wrong, the current updated study says that it can go up to 45 minutes, those who are meditating. Basically, even for meditations, there are slots. People are able to focus for a period of, let's say, 20 minutes to 30 minutes with practice. Not like initially you can go ahead and study for 45 minutes. Okay. It's like initially you start with 20, try to retain your, now next time you study for 25, next time study for 30, 35. Then by 45, you should definitely go for a break from your current study so that your efficiency remains high. That means you are not wasting time just looking at the book, right? So it can go max up to 45, but again, that is an individual's stamina or capacity, I would say. Oh, sorry, Nikhil. I could not see your message before. I think you were not comfortable in English. अगर मैं Nikhil is here. Okay. ठीक है निखिल, अगर कोई कुछ आपको डाउट हो यू कैन आस्क, गो अहेड एंड आस्क निखिल, कुछ भी डाउट हो तो मैं okay. One more point I would like to say from my side is, see, you may feel like sometimes when times become hard, right? So good habits are difficult to hold on to if you don't practice them. Bad habits are very easy to catch on. Now, it is said, right? It is very easy to get a bad habit and very easy to lose a good habit, but it's very hard to lose a bad habit and gain a good habit. Similarly, if you have a good habit, let's say you got into a good habit of studying in 25 minutes slot. Now, sometimes you may feel, oh, let me go ahead and study for 60 minutes. No, don't do like that. If you got a good habit of studying in slots, maintain that slot. Similar, of a very good habit is if you have got into a habit of chanting, if you have started chanting and you are already getting the benefits of it, or you are getting accustomed to chanting, because I know chanting may be a little difficult for somebody who is starting for the first time. He will be like, okay, what is the benefit? But once you have gotten into it and if you have started already chanting, you should not leave that habit, because once you leave that habit, the rebound of that habit, basically getting into a state where you are again comfortable with that habit, will be difficult. So for, let's say, any good habit you have, be it chanting, if you are chanting daily, for example, let's say 1 or 2 or 3 or how many rounds, keep continuing that. Try to make your, so good part, let it be. Bad part, try to reduce. If you are wasting if your time somewhere, try to reduce that. If you are chanting some time, fix that. You can try to increase it, but fix that. Don't lose that habit. Okay. Similarly, if you are before writing the examination, go ahead and chant for maybe a 10 round, or maybe on your fingers chant for 1 round if possible. Beforehand, go into examination hall and chant for 1 round. So that is a very good habit if you get into. Okay, so you should not ever let go of a good habit and try to reduce your bad habit to accommodate for good habits. Okay, that will be a suggestion from my side. Anybody else has any questions? Else, I think we can wrap up. Or if you have any questions or anything you want to share from your experience, you can go ahead and say.
Sir, how to deal with...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, one question more. What could be doing 5-minute slot? Can we chant, for example, can we chant 1 round of mantra meditation in 5-minute slots?
You have said
it's better to relax that slot.
Yeah, you have just said a jewel you have just now said, as told to everyone. I mean, basically, you distributed diamond directly into public by asking this question, basically. So it's like this: if in that 5 minutes, if you try to meditate, there could be nothing good than that. There could be nothing more better than if you use that try to 5 minutes, or maybe take whatever time you have, maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. It may depend, because 5 minutes may become short for some people. Take 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes break if possible. And if you try to chant, nothing better I could suggest. Nothing better I could suggest than spending that 5 minutes, 10 minutes chanting. That would be very good suggestion. Yeah, there was someone else also asking some question. They can also go ahead and ask. I'm not sure. I was hearing 2 voices.
Sir, how to deal failure in exam?
Yes, very good point. Now, when you have asked this question, I am already thinking, or I already have an impression that you somehow have insecurity. Oh, what will happen if क्या होगा अगर हम एग्जाम में फेल कर जाते हैं? Now, as I said, कर्मण्यवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन is a verse very suited for explaining this scenario. See, होता क्या है जब आप प्रिपरेशन करते हो, see, don't consciously try to get into a situation where you will fail. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल एग्जाम से पहले ना पढ़ना, और मे बी कॉन्शियसली क्लास में ना सुनना कि टीचर क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं. ऐसी चीजें करने से ऑब्वियसली यू आर ट्राइंग टू पेव योर वे फॉर फेलियर. नाउ if you are doing all these things right and if you still fail, okay, now as I said, all the things in life according to verse matra sparshastu kaunteya is like that. If you go up, there will be a moment of point moment of time where you will get your chance to perform. Then again it goes down where you may not be able to perform so well. Then again sometime later in life you will get a chance. For example, let's say there are people who are trying UPSC for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Now they fail, right? They have studied so hard for so much time. Again, there might be something उन्होंने वो चीजें नहीं पढ़ी जो exactly exam में आई, या maybe luck factor था, या maybe जो interviewer था या जो paper check कर रहे थे उनका mood अच्छा नहीं था. There could be many things which you have no control over. Even the luck factor itself, you can think of it like it is not permanent. I will get a chance next, and that is how you keep up your momentum. Let's say you studied, you did everything very well. Now again, you got less marks in your exams, right? Now, first thing would be to go back to the teacher who gave you that marks and try to talk to him, sir, what I could have done better so that I get a good marks. That is the first point of retrospection. You go ahead and sit back and think what I could have done better, or what problems did I face in previous exam which did not let me do a correct, let me get a good marks in the exam. Now, next time when you go to study or prepare for exam, make a note of these points, that these were my failure points, and I have to be very specifically aware of them whenever I'm preparing for the next time. That is how you prepare for failure. See, there is no countermeasure for failure. There is always a preparation for failure. It's always like you cannot prevent tsunami. Tsunami ko aap rok nahi sakte, but you can prepare against tsunami. That is, beforehand get to know what you do. So if tsunami is there, agar, for example, इस case में